There is only one thing happening, and that is love. If we are not making ourselves wrong, and we're not projecting onto anyone and making anyone wrong, then the heart is free to be the love that we are. When we pull in all the projections that we send outwards, there is a freedom of heart, and all that remains is love. And so our unfolding is about catching all of the ways in subtler and subtler forms that we project. In a way, the whole life of me is a projection. The whole life is a projection. And in a way, this is how the world disappears in this unfolding. The world disappears because the projection disappears, and all that remains is love. So we are longing to be the love that we are, longing to live this freedom. And in a way, the freedom is freedom from the mind, and the mind is what creates the projections. Freedom from projection. And of course, projection is protection. It's the way that we hide and protect. That we've learned that projection is a way to stay safe. If we project everything away, then we don't have to feel and face what would happen if we didn't make those projections. And as we deepen in this unfolding, it is possible to see subtler and subtler ways that this mechanism continues to perpetuate the sense of being hijacked by the mind and not absolutely free in the heart. So we come to, again, this sense of taking absolute responsibility for the appearance. That when we recognize that the projected world, the appearance of my life, is being created out of the consciousness that is present here. And that consciousness is absolutely one with all consciousness. That there's only one substance. That we open to the stillness, the silence of being. But the reason that this freedom on the surface of life can seem elusive and we tend to find that when we're sitting, resting, focused in satsang, that we feel that freedom, we feel that peace, the peace of true nature. And yet wondering why, when we start moving in the play of life, does it seem that we can get hooked and pulled in? And of course, the grace of life is that everything that hooks us and pulls us in to the story is an opportunity to unhook and to reveal, see the projections, see how every story that we have about everyone through the whole life is projection. You have no idea, and you never have, what is going on for anyone else. But when we identify with the projection, with these projected ideas, and in a way, these projections come from misperception, we can also be misperceiving and basing misperception as an image of reality. It's a great misunderstanding. We can have all these ideas about other people's lives and other people's experiences. And of course, the great projections and misperceptions start with our young life, that we try to understand what was going on. But we project these ideas according to the experience. But the experience is all a creation of the mind. And the creation of the mind isn't reality. Reality is love. And it's impossible for the mind to grasp, let's say, the mind that divides. The mind that divides cannot grasp how it's all a play. And underneath the play, there's only love. There's only ever been love. It's the substance, the essence, and it's the only thing that's ever happening. And that when we come to recognize the stillness, the silence, the presence of being, we're opening to the light. And the light is clear vision, and the light is illumination. And we have this capacity as the light of awareness, the light of consciousness, to illuminate as the untouched silent witness what is really going on. It's such a huge part of this unfolding is illuminating the way that life is attempting to surface the unconscious patterns of protection, and how we use projection and all these ideas that we have about people. We hold these stories, and the stories that we hold have actually never been true. We had an experience of life, but the experience of life is a movie in the mind, and it's taking place according to the karmas. It's taking place across multi-dimensions and multi-lifetimes. And we're here with the possibility of seeing through it, seeing through the movie, seeing through the landscape that is cloudy, clouded with fear, clouded with ideas. And we have this incredible possibility to actually see clearly. And in order to see clearly, we would like for love to touch everything, that love can touch everything. And we start to see the wisdom of how everything is playing. And that whenever there is any feeling of discordance, any resistance, any stress, any sorrow, any reaction, it's an opportunity to unwind some kind of protection. You know, when we are in the grips of protection, what it shows us is that we're holding frequencies of discordance. We're holding discordant frequencies. And the shifting that happens is not a fixing or changing on the surface. It's a meeting of the discordant frequencies, so that the discordant frequencies that have taken the shape of stress, anxiety, anger, fear, sadness, hurt, whatever it is, that those frequencies can be seen in the light and open naturally to remember the essence, substance, that everything has the possibility of being seen in the light. And when there is a seeing in the light and shifting the frequencies that we're holding, we clear the karmic obscurations and we stop repeating the same patterns that we have been repeating across lifetimes. Essentially, it's about releasing the patterns of the unconscious. Now, the unconscious is not actually a personal unconscious. Karma is not personal karma. Kind of belongs to humanity, we could say. And in the lifetime, we have this possibility of clearing the patterns that keep us bound in a sense of personal and division, clearing those patterns and freeing the patterns to free the sense of the life. And in freeing those patterns, that ripples out and is freeing the discordant patterns for the whole of humanity. So there's such a profundity that we're working on, in a way, a seeming micro and macro levels simultaneously, and yet it's all one. That if we are holding these frequencies of discordance until we meet them and release them in the illuminated presence of love, the wide open field, that they keep perpetuating. And so we wonder, why do these patterns keep repeating? What am I not seeing? How can I illuminate? How can love touch everything and clear these deeply held frequencies, vibrations from the field? By not continuing to identify with the story, not continuing to tell the story. And when we say not continuing to tell the story, it's very different to tell the story in identification to making a report of what you're witnessing or what you're seeing unwinding, right? It's very different to say, well, I experienced a lot of anger and stress in my family. My father was angry. My mother was sad. It was a nightmare. And to keep telling that story, in a way, to keep telling that story perpetuates it. But the place of releasing it is recognizing my experience, my perception was that my father was angry, my mother was sad, and that it was very, very difficult. But we have the capacity now not to identify and keep telling the story that just keeps that frequency resonating, but to unwind that frequency. It is to take responsibility on the level of consciousness. It's not a personal responsibility. It's recognizing this was my experience. So how do we come from this being my experience to there's only love? Seems like a leap, right? How do we come to know that there's only love and there's only ever been love. It is by knowing the love that we are, by knowing the love that we are. And in a way, the leap is to stop identifying with the story, not making my experience or my perception of my life the reality, to know the only reality is love. Underlying the whole play is love. And in a way, the leap is this recognition that says there is only love. Love is the only thing that has ever been happening. I have a perception. I have a sense of an experience. And when I identify and make a projection that this is reality, this is true, I crystallize that experience. I crystallize, and I keep from that crystallized vibration frequency in the consciousness here, I keep perpetuating some element of that. So the undoing is to be able to be aware of that, the mechanism. Without the leap is jumping in where you don't know, maybe fully, that this is love, but there's enough of a sense that there's only love. There's only love. How can I know this? And so we open up to reality and this recognition. There's only one thing happening, and that one thing is love. And if I take responsibility that the way that I see this story, this is my experience, and somehow that frequency was here. It's been across many lifetimes. That frequency was here. And I created that out of the frequency that's here because I was being given another opportunity for some kind of rebalancing and clear seeing to happen in this life. So if I let go of being a victim to the things that feel like they were hard in this life, and I recognize that where I feel like a victim, I have somewhere also been the perpetrator. I have also been the angry one. I've also been the sad one. I've played every character in the play at some point. And if I don't keep focusing upon the different characters and projecting qualities to each character and holding myself as the victim, if I open up to the big picture, that I've been the one that has stayed, I've been the one that has left, I've been the one that was deceitful, I've been the one that rejected, the one that abandoned, and I've been the one that has felt to be abandoned and rejected and left and hurt and violated. And I've been the violator. I've played every character somewhere. It's like when we open up to the big picture and we recognize that if we see these energies, if we see this picture, then somehow, at some point across lifetimes, we've played all of these roles in a myriad of ways, and we've interacted with these souls on the stage of life in so many different ways. And we don't need to know that information. We don't even have to believe in past lives. We don't even have to have any sense of understanding if reincarnation and multi lifetimes actually happens. All we need to really be open to is that there is some kind of unconscious storehouse of discordant patterning that is still peppering my life, right? And if there is still some kind of discordance peppering the life, then it's worth taking the risk to see things differently and to find out how we can shift these frequencies that we're holding, truly shift the frequencies, so that we're not living and creating from these frequencies. And how we shift these discordant frequencies is by meeting the feelings and sensations in the nervous system that arise, that feel like stress and tension and discordance and discomfort, meeting it all. And the way that we have for love to touch and for the light to illuminate these places is to welcome, embrace, and bless everything. Because in this, we take the power back from our victim stories all the way through. We take the power back and we allow the light to touch every character. So in our example here, angry father, sad mother, very difficult family situation. We start with what feels the strongest, the feeling that's in me, the feeling of being a victim to this. I bless the one that feels like a victim to this. I bless that there could be a misperception. I open to the recognition. This was my story. This was my experience, but it might not have been everybody's experience. I have no idea what my mother's experience was, or what my father's experience was, what my siblings' experience was. I have no idea. But a way of protecting meant that I've held an idea. But that too is a frequency of holding. And I bless the place that has held this protection in order to keep a sense of safety. I bless every fiber of my being that has held these ideas out of protection. And even though there are factual elements to the story and the experience, I just let go of needing to hold on to the facts. I let go of needing to hold on to the story. And in a big picture, as a multidimensional, profound being of light, I open up to a different way of perceiving. I open up to taking absolute responsibility as consciousness itself for the creation, and that somehow the frequencies and vibrations of consciousness that I came into this human life with are like some scars and vasanas and karmas that created these situations, not for me to be a victim, not for me to be trapped by these stories in this lifetime, but they came in as possibilities for me to be free. And in the recognition of this possibility, I open to claim this freedom. I open to the possibility of claiming this freedom in this lifetime. To be a victim no more, to be identified no more with the story and the misperceptions. I recognize that there can be holding patterns of discordance that are held in the sense of the emotional body, the physical body, the mental body, as stories, emotions, feelings, as stresses and tensions. And I open to release all of these holding patterns that are ready to surface and let go into the light. I recognize as a multi-dimensional being of light that everything is made of light, that there is only light. And in this lifetime, in this moment, I claim the possibility of utter freedom from the stories that I have believed in, the stories of a life that has been a perception of experience, and that I have believed it all to be a reality. I let go of this whole story. I let go of the stress and the fear and the shock in the field of consciousness, of the laws of nature that I am. And I open to this light that I know myself to be, touching every single fiber of discordance, of stress, of discomfort, of shock. I open to the light, touching everything, to the love that is the radiant openness of the field, touching everything, every fiber of the story. That I am willing and ready, more than ready, to let go of these stories, these projections. I'm ready, more than ready, to let go of my unconscious commitments to these stories, the ways that I continue to hold these frequencies and vibrations. I'm ready, more than ready, to release these discordant frequencies into the light, into the deep knowing of true essence nature. And I bless every fiber of my being that has been holding a sense of division and limitation, holding conditionings and protections out of fear, holding frequencies of fear. I'm ready, more than ready, to release the frequencies of fear that dance as protections and conditionings. That these places may feel the safety of the presence of love. Recognize the true nature in the presence of light, and open to remember that the essence of everything is the same light, is love, is a fine frequency of unconditional openness. I'm ready to release the movie and the script that I've been holding. I'm ready to let go of all projections, and I'm ready to bless the one that felt to be the angry father, the one that felt to be the sad mother. I'm ready to bless every character and to recognize that underneath the play that every character played, there has only ever been love. That the essence nature of every being is love and has always been love. That every being is made of light, and that light is the soul light. And in this moment, I bless every character that is present in awareness right now, whether it's our example of the angry father, the sad mother, whatever your unique configuration of story is, the angry mother, the abandoning mother, the abandoning father, the violators, right? All of it. Just this openness to just bless and welcome the feelings and sensations. I'm ready, I'm more than ready to let go of the projections and misperceptions, to recognize that there's a story that has been running, and the story holds a frequency, and I'm ready to release that frequency. I'm ready to release the projections. I'm ready to release the protections and truly open to the love that I am. And to know that in opening to the love that I am, I have this capacity to continue to bless every character that has walked on the stage of this life as situations and stresses and resistances arise in awareness, that I can bless any and every character. And this blessing, this welcoming of the feelings and sensations can act as a bridge. I can take the leap that maybe I don't feel like I know this all to be true right now, but where it feels true in my system, I can take a leap. If there is only love, then show me. Let me see the obscurations that keep me from knowing there is only love. So we're not denying the story of the life. We're not dissociating from the story of the life. We're opening to a big picture that as a being of light, we have this capacity to see reality and to identify with reality as the light, as the love, and not to identify with the story of the life as reality. That we see the story of the life as a movie, And we can bless the characters as we feel we are able. It can even arise that we thank the characters. We come to this recognition that it has all been the most incredible grace. But we notice that if we remain identified with the idea that something is wrong, that I am a victim, that that was wrong, that we're holding this frequency that will in its own way keep perpetuating possibilities in the reflection of life to offer the opportunity to release the identification with the story. There's a special blessing field coming in, and it's the blessing of the pre-verbal. The light is shining upon and bringing blessing and healing and clearing to the pre-verbal. It's a big part of the unconscious. That the light is touching everything. That love is touching everything. And so if there are images or words or threads of stories that flow in, just to allow it all. And if there feels like the capacity to illuminate and bless, there are feelings and sensations that come in the nervous system, just allowing. There's no need to push. The wisdom knows what is ready to surface and release. Essentially, what we are releasing are the projections, protections, and misperceptions that keep us bound in the idea that the story of my life is the reality, that stop us truly deepening into the knowing of the heart, that love is the reality, that light is the reality. And really, what is happening is that we are releasing identification. And as we release identification, we are freeing the patterns of discordance, the frequencies and vibrations of limitation and lack. And it's not that the sense of my life and my life story disappears, but we are able to be more aware of the frequency of love that has been present, underlying the whole play of the story. We start to be able to feel and recognize the love that is the essence of every character. Mm. So it doesn't matter if what's arising in awareness are images or flashes or words or stories that are to do with things that are in the life now, or if they are arising from the young life or the past, it doesn't matter. Essentially, there is no time. It's timeless. This is a timeless now, this reality. And so whatever is arising that seems like it comes from time is the projected world. It's the patterns and vibrations that keep the mind cycling. So we're releasing the time-bound stories, and we're releasing the memories that are held in the nervous system, in the consciousness, as discordant patterns. We're releasing the memories that we identify with and we reference. We constantly, protectively go back and reference. We're releasing our experiential story, and we're opening to the frequencies of love that have been underlying everything. So we're not changing or fixing the story. We're inviting that we can open to see from a different perspective, a perspective where we are the power and presence of the divine, where we are the power and presence of love, the power and presence of the light of all that is, of the glory. And we pull back the projected threads, we pull back the power out of the story of victim. We pull back the sense of being powerless and hopeless and being held captive by these stories. We pull back the threads. And as we pull back the threads, we open to a greater sense of the presence of being, a greater sense of the ground of being, a greater sense of being a being of light and resonating at a frequency that is fine and pure and innocent. There can still, of course, be the sense of the experience, the factual experience, but there's a releasing of the identification with being a victim and being tossed around in the waves of life, to recognizing as the power and presence of consciousness. I am the consciousness that has created the play of the life. I am the consciousness that has created the characters and the storylines. That it has all been created out of consciousness, not to hold me trapped, but to free me from the multi-dimensional, multi-lifetime patterns of the unconscious that are also pre-verbal. Some are known and some are not known. Some have risen to this more like the subconscious. But the ones that have been held in the unconscious and continue to perpetuate and create situations. I recognize that any situation in my life that feels discordant and stressful right now are those vibrations and patterns, and I'm open and ready, more than ready, to release and to see and to meet whatever I need to meet, to continue to release the remaining fibers and threads. I bless the courage that I have had to be working deeply with these places and knowing that so much has been released. I have such gratitude for the support and grace of this life. And yet I'm ready to open, to take this responsibility as a being of light, of being the consciousness that has created the appearance. And I receive the grace and possibility of claiming the freedom, opening to the freedom of reality and the frequency of love that I am in truth. And that this is one wide open field of love, of light, and that every character that has ever walked the stage of this life is made of the same light and the same love, and that every character is being played and orchestrated by the divine consciousness for the possibility of the freedom of all beings, that there is no division, and this life and these situations that are arising are the great possibility to rebalance and to receive the grace of meeting the feelings that arise in my nervous system, releasing the discordant patterns of consciousness, and blessing every fiber of stress, blessing myself, blessing the young one, blessing the one that has worked so hard, had so much courage, blessing the one that created a needs-met structure in order to protect and survive, blessing the one that has worked to release in all the various ways, and blessing the one that is ready now to take the seat of truth, of reality, and to truly open to the power and presence of the light that I am. But I recognize that if I make a projection, that it is just an opportunity to find out what is the protection underneath this. If I make a judgment or an opinion, if I'm holding strong ideas, what is the protection underneath this? And I'm willing to meet that protection and not project it away. When it's ready to surface, I am here as a being of light, as the frequency of love that is ready to be aware and awake and illuminate, take responsibility and meet and see with clear vision and pull back the threads and truly shift these frequencies and vibrations of discordance so that all of these discordant patterns of consciousness that have taken shape can know themselves in purity, in innocence, in the light, in the love. That I take this leap, that there is only one thing happening here, and it is love. Mm-hmm. Mm. Taking some nice, deep, slow, long breaths. Breathing all the way down to the base of the lungs so that the belly is as soft as it can be and opens. Releasing the breath out through the mouth. Opening to our long, slow, deep, gentle barrel breaths, breathing into the front, side, and back body, in the lower abdomen area. As you breathe into the base of the lungs, take it gently, breathing into the middle of the lungs, the chest, the side body, the back, opening that space all around the heart, breathing into the top of the lungs, just as you feel ready. Long, slow, deep breaths, and releasing out through the mouth, just to allow that exhalation to be very free and full. Continuing just to breathe in your own rhythm. Long, slow, deep, gentle breaths, supporting the flow in the field of clearing, of purification, refinement, and recalibration. The inhalation, breathing in light and letting that light filter out to every cell in the body and beyond. Feeling the frequency of light, of clearing, of gentleness, of love's soft, safe holding. Filter out, releasing and softening the holdings in the physicality, releasing and softening the mental body, the emotional body. Mm. 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 Long, slow, deep breaths. Can exhale through the mouth or the nose as feels comfortable. Ah. And as the breath is soft and slow and long and deep, just starting to feel maybe that sense of a softening and an expansion in the field more deeply, where the edges of the body blurs into the wide open spaciousness. Breathing in emptiness, filling yourself with emptiness. Releasing that emptiness. Breathing in space and light. Letting that space and light filter out to every cell and fiber of being, multidimensionally. And then releasing. Oh. The breath is the vehicle. Mm. So there's no doing involved. In this clearing, in this releasing, that there's a natural intelligence that is flowing. The intelligence of the field is flowing to clear itself, to know itself more deeply, and to remember itself as love, as light. Remember the reality, and to feel the freedom and openness of being yourself, feeling more natural, boundless spaciousness. As we free the projections and protections, freeing from the mind's identification with story, and starting to realize that you are free to be the love that you are. You are free to be free, free to be the love that you are, free to be the wide open field. Mm. So just allowing, as you feel ready, to allow the breath to normalize. Continue to take long, slow, deep breaths as long as you feel that it is supportive, as long as it's flowing naturally, and then just allowing the breathing just to relax and soften and find its naturalness. We'll naturally find more spaciousness. Mm. Recognizing the stillness, the silence of being, the deep presence of the wide open being of light that you are. Inviting this softening and relaxation across the physical body, the mental body, the emotional body. Noticing if there is any residual stress or discordance in the field, in the nervous system, and just welcoming the sensation. Welcome the sensation as the light, as the love, blessing whatever is here, embracing and illuminating whatever is here. I know myself as a being of light. I know myself as the presence of being, the power and ground of being. I know myself as I am, just as I am, as a being of light, as the presence of being. I know myself as I am. I remember myself as I am, as a being of light, as the presence of being. I remember myself as I am, innocent and free. I remember myself as love, as the love that I am, without condition or protection. I remember myself as I am, as the love and the innocence. I know myself as I am, just here now, as I am, as peace and openness and simplicity. I remember myself as I am, as this field of wide open spaciousness, as peace and simplicity and silence. There is true safety here, as I know myself as I am, simple and spacious and still as the presence of being. I know myself as I am, boundless and free. I recognize this resonance of the pure, unbounded consciousness that I am, open and free. I know myself as I am, as this field of love, and that this field of love is the true heart, the heart of silence, the heart of being, this heart of light that is divine. This heart of light is yours, great glory. This heart of light is yours. Mm. 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 So, just resting here, we will just rest now in some silence, just resting in the silence, meeting anything that feels to be discordant, feeling the sensations, and just blessing anything that arises in the field now as we rest. If there is anything that comes forward for illumination, embrace, and blessing. But in a way, we are now resting in this wide open field, and the field is a silent field of blessing, of love, that is silently touching everything and releasing the discordance into the purity of the flow of consciousness and opening into the field of nectarine bliss. As the remembrance deepens, we drink in that bliss, feel the nourishment, the true deep nourishment of resting in reality. Mm. There is a soft light that is coming in like a feeling of being held, like an embrace. Feel held by love. Feel held in the embrace of love. You are the love. You are the embrace. Feel held.